Man, what's the deal, man? It's your boy Lil Man. So, look, today we're going to talk about this gold trade that I took, and I took a sell, and I'm still targeting the 16-15 level. So, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. So, starting off on the weekly time frame, even though I got my trade idea from the daily and lower, but on the weekly time frame, just to get an overview of what's happening, we can see that price is bullish as for in the weekly, right? Because it made a higher high here, so higher high, higher low, and then it came up here to make a higher high, right? And we haven't broke past that level yet, and we haven't broke past this level yet, right? So we're still in this fat trading range. Like I said, from the low to the high that it made up here. And you see we haven't broke and closed above it, right? That's just a wick, so that's just probably grabbing a lot of buyers in the market thinking it was going to continue higher, and then it broke down, right? So let's talk about, all right, so on the weekly time frame, basically it's just this range that I was talking about. So we have our higher high, higher low, and then we shot up here to make a higher high, right? So we can go ahead and take that off because that's not too important. So, and also we know that we have all this liquidity right here, right? So all these people right here were probably trying to buy into this level, thinking that this is an area of support, right? We got one touch, one touch, one touch, one touch, one touch, and we bounced every time we hit that, right? So now it's coming back to this level, and there was probably a lot of buyers thinking that it was going to keep going higher, right? So they probably put in buy positions here, came back here, put in buy positions, thinking it was keep going up, broke down, probably broke back up, and they was putting in buy positions here, right? But if you look on the daily time frame, how is price flowing, right? It's just breaking structures to the downside and just keep flowing down, right? And on the weekly time frame, we're still in that range, right? So we can still go anywhere from this low to this high. So we could just keep playing around in here, keep playing around, keep playing around, keep playing around, but until we actually break and close above something, then that would show us where we would head to next, right? But right now we're just in this weekly range, right? So we got to either break this low and continue down for sales, or break this high and continue over buys, right? But let's talk about the daily. So I'm only going to target, if this keeps going down and keeps going down, this would be the last target I'll be targeting, right? So I wouldn't try to take more sales if it comes to this level, right? Because this is a higher time frame demand level, and this is where I'm going to probably try to look for buys for, unless we break out of this, right? But for the time being, I'm only going to look for sales into this level. I'm not going to look for deeper down here until we see what price is showing us, right? So that's just on the weekly time frame. So daily time frame, like I said, this big support level just was basically a lot of liquidity, right? That's why I have this line right here, just showing that people were trying to buy here, buy here, buy here, and they were thinking that they were just going to probably buy again, right? But I was selling right into that, right? Because like I said, we had this imbalance here, and we had this demand level where price could come and tap into, right? So sales into that would be valid. So let's talk about the trade. So starting off on the daily time frame, like I said, so right here, we can tell we tapped into this area right here, right? And then like I said, this is probably a lot of liquidity. Well, all this is really liquidity. So price broke down, it was correcting, then it came back up, right? And right here, after price started breaking all these levels, people were just thinking that price is just going to keep going up, right? So it came to this level, created some equal highs, and it just broke down, right? So now, while we're breaking down, I'm just trying to catch these sales all the way down to that area, right? Until this demand level. So let's start talking about trade now, right? So from here, we can tell that we had a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? So price is obviously moving bearish, right? So since price is moving bearish, I'm only going to continue to look for sales into this pair until, like I said, until we get to this level, and then I'm going to start seeing how market structure is moving or how price is flowing, right? So for now, like I said, we broke this low, so we had a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So at this point when we had our lower low, I was waiting for price to come into this level, right? And it tapped into it. It tapped into it last week, but I just couldn't get in a position, right? So after it broke that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for this low to be broken, right? So this low got broken here, and it's still, obviously we're still flowing down, right? So I would still only be looking for sales. So the price is flowing down, right? So it broke this structure right here, right? So it was a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and then lower low, because we finally broke it here, right? We didn't break it here because We didn't break past and close. But right here we did, because we broke past and closed, right? So after we broke that level and closed below, I knew that we were going to come up for a retracement and then probably continue back down, right? Because if price is flowing like this, you wouldn't want to be trying to catch bottoms and trying to just be looking for buys, right? And try to be the first person on the buy wave or whatever, right? If price is flowing down, you want to keep going with the flow. You don't want to try to hop out of the flow if it's going down, right? It's like jumping into a current if it's going the opposite way. You're not going to be able to swim right. You're just going to drown. So if price is flowing bearish, you want to keep going with the trend, and that's what I did, right? So I said I was waiting for this level, came rejecting, and then it fell, right? So it took out this low. So after it took out this low, I was waiting for the same thing, right? So after it makes a low, so after price breaks, it makes a low, it retraces, and then you hop in and go lower, right? So price made a low, retrace, and this is where I was looking at to take a sell, right? So let's hop down to the lower time frame. So on the daily time frame, we're bearish, right? Breaking lows, and right now on the daily time frame, we just put in a new lower low, right? So now we're gonna come up for a retracement to hop in lower, right? To hop in to go lower, right? So this is basically what I was looking at on the 4 hour, right? So I knew that we were having a lower low, and I didn't want to take a trade right here because this is really just internal liquidity, right? Price has to, so you see how the move it made from lower low, lower high, and lower low on the daily. That was one whole move, right? But on the 4 hour time frame, we can look at it. We can say price is here, high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? And then we could say this is a good level to sell at, right? And I'm pretty sure a bunch of people were selling. And if you didn't get confirmation, then it wouldn't be a sell to go into, right? But if we look on the higher time frames, we can tell this is the external swing structure, right? So low, lower high, lower low. So from a lower high to the lower low, if you were to try to trade it in here, right, this wouldn't even be the 50%. Actually, let me just put this. So from the swing high to the swing low, right? So the 50% is right here above this line, right? So if you were trying to trade right here, you wouldn't even be past the 50%. So it wouldn't even be a deeper retracement for you to try to get in, right? And also your risk to reward wouldn't be that well, right? Because if you try to get in here, the only thing you would target would be this low, right? Or probably further, but this would be your first targets. And your stop loss would be something up here, whatever. So the risk to reward right here is not looking good, right? So you always want to wait for a deeper retracement to find that better risk to reward. So we can take this off. Now let's just see what's happening with price, right? So like I said, I had this as a level I was waiting for the price to come into, right? Because as we can tell, it has a lot of imbalance. So from here to where price dropped right here, there's all imbalance, right? So price, we knew when price was right here that it had to come back to fill this imbalance, right? So that's another reason why I wasn't trying to take a trade from here anyways. So I knew that price had to at least come back and fill this level. So once price played around at this level and then probably stopped out a lot of sellers that were trying to sell on this level, that's when I started looking really to get in this trade, right? So I knew that this is liquidity, it just got taken out, so that's probably collecting more orders to be able to push price down, right? So anyways, we tapped into this supply level. So lower low, lower high, lower low, waited for price to get in here, we tapped into it, right? So once we tapped into it, now we just go to the lower time frame, right? So let's see how price is flowing up to that level, right? So this big area is the area I was talking about, right? The supply and the imbalance area. So we just have to wait for price to get in there, right? So price finally tapped into it. So let's just put that there when price first hit it. So now let's break it down even more and see what happened when price hit it. So we can tell that we never touched it anywhere here, right? Because this is the area. So we finally touched it. Now let's see what happened. So we made a higher high, higher low, higher high. So our trading range will be from here to here, right? And obviously this would be the trading range high, and this will be the low. So higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So this is the only range we're looking at, right? Everything in here. So if we break under here, then we could look for sales, right? If we get a retracement up and it continue. But if we break above here, then we wouldn't be looking for sales no more, right? Because this whole area would be invalidated if we were to break above here, right? So I was waiting to see what price would do, right? So after I seen it come up higher high, higher low, higher high, so this is the higher low, right? And this is the higher high. So I was waiting for a price to just, or actually right here, I was waiting for price to pull back and then break this, right? And then once we break this, that'll confirm that the bearish sells, bearish pressure is more valid, right? That we got that confirmation of breaking a higher low, so we can continue to look for sales right after a pullback. But we never got that, right? And instead what we got was price came here and I was waiting for it to break, right? And instead of breaking like this and closing under and then waiting for a pullback, what price did is it probably got a lot of sellers right here, right? People probably tried to sell it after they seen it trying to break through, but it didn't break. It was just a wick, right? So it went right back up. So there was no sell to get in there, obviously. But so once price created these equal lows, so you see how this is the higher low, but it created an equal low, and then it hit right off that spot again to create more equal lows. So right now this would look like support to some people, right? It'll look like support, and then once we come test it again, then we'll look for buys, right? So come test it, look for buys, right? So people probably try to get in buys right here off this support, but this is not a support level. It's just basically liquidity, right? Just equal lows. So whenever you see price like this, just think of it as just liquidity, right? Price has to stop them out to grab enough orders to make them move, and whatever the way the move's in, right? Because it could take it out and then drop, and then come back and then drop, right? It just depends wherever the higher time frame flow is in, right? So you just always want to look for liquidity. So anyways, price made a higher high, higher low, higher high. So I was waiting for it to break out of this range, right? Never broke out. It just instead created equal lows. So after it created equal lows, I identified this supply level, right? Because this was a higher time frame supply level. This box, it tapped into it right here, and then we broke down, right? And instead of breaking structure, we just created equal lows. So once price started breaking back up after it created that equal low, I was like, okay, well, if price just created them equal lows, then it probably just wants to come back up, hit a supply level, and then fall, right? And then take out that equal low that it just created, right? Because I just said that it was liquidity, right? So whenever price creates that, it just takes it out. So once I seen price create that, I identified a supply level right here, right? Because you can tell there's imbalance from here to here, right? So I was waiting for price to come fill this gap, and really like this gap for real. So I was waiting for price to come fill this gap, right? So there's imbalance there, and also the supply level, right, where price had a up before the down move, right? Lower time frame, you can see it better, probably. I think so. Not really. All right, let's just stick with the 1530. But anyways, so we identified the supply level, right? And we seen that there was imbalance right here, right? So I just waited for price to come up here, and after it came up here, I went to lower time frames, and I started seeing how price was reacting, right? So price hit it, and it fell. Hit it, and started rejecting. Hit it, started rejecting. Hit it, started rejecting. But after I got this candle right here, it was in a higher time frame. I think it was 30 minutes. Yeah, after I got this candle right here, and it started breaking all these lows, I entered like right around here, right? After it started breaking that, because that was the final level I was waiting for confirmation at, right? Because like I said, on the daily, we hit this level, right? So higher time frame hit the supply level and then broke down, right? Now we can look at the supply level that we hit. So now we hit it and broke down, right? Created equal lows. Now we're just waiting for a supply level on the lower time frames. So we identified that too, and then we hit it. And then right when it started breaking down and making this bearish engulfing candle, that's when I got in the trade, right? Expecting these lows to get taken out and expecting or waiting for price to take out these lows and just waiting for price to see if it can come into this level, right? And this level, let's go ahead and talk about this too. So that's basically the trade that I took, right? So it was overall higher time frame bearish, right, on the daily. So we're looking for sales only, and price came into the supply level, right? A lot of imbalance price had to fill, so I wouldn't get in here because there was still imbalance price had to come fill up here, right? So price came, finally tapped into that level, took out internal structure, right? and then tapped into this, right? So now once we tapped into this, took out internal structure, now we can head for external structure, right? And that's this low right here, right? So external is right here. All this is internal. Took it out, grabbed it, and now we're going to take it out. Took it out, right? And then the same thing. Came, took out internal liquidity, hit this, and now we're looking to take external liquidity out, right? And just repeat the same process over and over again, right? So basically that was the trade, right? Came, tapped the supply level, broke down, created equal lows, came, hit the supply level, and then I was expecting this to get taken out and expecting price to at least come to here, right? And that's exactly what it did. So from here, I'm still expecting price to come down to this 1615 level because that's the higher time frame low that we're gonna wait for to get taken out, right? Because we're in a bearish trend. So if we're a bearish trend, we're just waiting for the lows to get taken out, right? It's just liquidity. Because people was trying to buy into here, right? And they're probably still trying to buy into here. And even though it could pull back, the more likely scenario was for price to keep going into this bearish flow, right? So right here at this level, as you can see, we had an imbalance here. And that's why I was just waiting for price to come here, right? And not just take out these equal lows, but also come right to this level and just tap in this, right? Because there's no traffic right here. It's just a clean candle, right? So it's imbalanced. Price has to come back and fill it, right? So price came back and filled it, and this is the demand level that I found, and you can see price is obviously reacting off it, right? So I was gonna take partials here when I got in the trade, like up here, but now with the momentum and just that knowing that price has to come take this out, I'm not gonna take no partials because it could pull back like it did, like it made a little small pullback, and that's probably just to get buyers in the market, thinking that this level is going to hold or something, but it's overall higher time frame bearish. So like I said, the overall trend was bearish, right? So people probably hit this level and they was thinking that was a good imbalance to demand level, so they're probably going to try to get in buys right here, right? But the overall trend is still bearish, so the only thing I'm going to look for is sells, right? And we hit this hidden time frame imbalance level, right? We tapped into that. After price probably changed structure, people were thinking that you're going to be able to catch buys here or whatever, but price is obviously still bearish, so I'm not looking for any of this. Even if it does go bullish, I'm just waiting for price to break these lows right here, break them because equal lows right here, so I'm pretty sure. And then also we just created this, so this is just a bunch of liquidity, so I'm pretty sure this is going to get taken out. It's probably going to stop out a couple buyers that was thinking price is going to keep going up or whatever, come into this level and then break down and then just keep breaking down. And that's just what I think is going to happen right now because it's just in a bearish market. But anything can happen. That's why you just got to manage your risk, right? And I forgot to say, after price hit this level, I went break even, right? So instead of taking partials, the only thing I did to manage my risk was just go break even, right? Because price could just run and keep going. But that's the first position I'm in. I got it up here, and I'm just going to hold it till price comes down here if it does. And in the second position I'm in, I'm looking for, so like the one I just said, I was waiting for a sell right here, right on this level, lower low, lower high, lower low, and I was waiting for sells here, but I didn't get confirmation, right? And then instead price broke up, took out this liquidity, which is equal highs, came into this little 5-minute imbalance area. So this little 5-minute imbalance supply area came, tapped into that perfectly, and then fell, right? So after it tapped into that and fell, I'm just waiting for a price to break structure, right? Or just create these equal lows and then try to get a sell off of here, right? But the more likely scenario in my favor would be if we broke all these lows, confirming that was more bearish pressure, right? Break it, close under here somewhere, and then come back to retest this level, imbalance supply, and then get a new position and hold it down. So that's just what I see on gold right now. So like I said, overall bearish, so I'm just going to keep looking to take sales on down until we get into this weekly demand level, like I said. And that's the only way that I would start looking for buys on this pair. Other than that, I'll just keep looking for sales down to that level. So appreciate you. Hope you learned a lot, and thank you for watching.